I don't envy any arc that has to follow something as good as the Alabasta saga. Even if it's good, it will always be compared to its predecessor, which isn't even remotely fair. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. I mostly enjoyed the Skypiea saga, but after loving Alabasta so much, I knew I wasn't going to like this saga nearly as much. And a major factor for that ended up being the saga's big baddie, Eneru, or Enel, or whatever you want to call him. He's just not that interesting. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because the setup for Skypiea itself was utterly fantastic. Hot off the tail of two beautiful goodbyes, Nico Robin appears once more, but this time, she doesn't want to fight. She wants to join the crew? So, yeah, I already knew Robin joined the Straw Hats because of, let's call it cultured art? Meaning, this twist fell pretty flat for me. All it did was make me wish I had been reading it as it was coming out 20 years ago, so I didn't have to worry about certain spoilers ruining cool twists like this. And one other important thing. As neat as this was, and for how interesting it was to have a former enemy officer joining them, I didn't really like Robin at the start of Skypiea. Just didn't really dig her vibes, you know? But since I know her arc unfolds across this saga and the next, I'm gonna withhold judgment for now. The start of this adventure had me more excited than anything else so far, despite my apprehension with the new tag-along. I knew about Eneru already and had a vague idea about Skypiea, but was lacking most of the details. So when the log pose was pointing up to the sky, I got super bouncy with excitement. Floating islands are 100% my jam. So I was like, let's do this! I could hardly wait to get up to Skypiea, but Oda had a much better plan than just rushing it. Instead of jumping right to the good stuff, he had us simmering with anticipation. His seeding of important plot points was more than enough, but he circled back around to the importance of dreams. Bellamy was such a good character to contrast Luffy. He's just a dumpster of a human and the perfect first look at what happens to people who no longer dream. He's just bitter and awful, and I hate him so damn much. But he plays such a pivotal role as the foil for not only Luffy, but Robin and Cricket as well, that I kinda love him. After the Pluton Poneglyph in Alabasta was a bust, Robin has mostly given up on her dream, but I can't help but feel like she's still clinging to a shred of hope. Hope that her dream isn't yet dead. Mont Blanc Cricket is one of my favorite characters this saga for a very simple reason. He's a relatively older gentleman that refuses to give up on his dream no matter how impossible it seems. After all of the failures he's endured over the years, it would be so easy for him to give up, but he hangs in there, refusing to let his dream die. He is the Straw Hats' ticket to the sky, as well as the one who tells them a little bit of Jaya's history, the legend of the City of Gold, and the great bell he seeks. The Mary is being upgraded, but there is still one thing left to do on Jaya. Man, is Oda good at making a beatdown satisfying. Bellamy has been Luffy's opposite in nearly every way, from their hair color to the location of their scars to even their devil fruit powers. So seeing him claim the big W so easily, especially after letting himself get wailed on earlier, is just so cathartic. Now that that's out of the way, we can finally head for once again, Oda shows us why he's considered the GOAT by so many, with how wild and imaginative Skypiea is. While I was expecting something more akin to a classic Sky Island, Skypiea basically being an archipelago on a sea of clouds is just rad as hell. But Oda didn't stop there. The madman introduced a new set of tools to further make Skypiea feel otherworldly. Getting to explore this new world and its slightly strange inhabitants was pretty fun, but unfortunately, the good times must come to an early end. Things have been going a little too well since they arrived in Skypiea. The people have been pretty helpful and mostly friendly. So why does something feel off? And who is this Kami they keep mentioning? It really doesn't take that long for Skypiea's true oppressive nature to rear its ugly head. The Straw Hats are only up in the sky for 4 chapters before the seemingly friendly inhabitants turn on them from the fear of the Kami. In terms of build-up, this is just as good as what Oda did with Crocodile. Maybe even better. Both of these characters start shrouded in mystery, but where Crocodile was set up with rumors about being a warlord and the vast army of criminals he controlled, Eneru's identity is hidden, with our only glimpses at him being a display of his great power and the fear that he holds over the people of Skypiea. So far, being up here has been pretty rad and has had its share of emotional revelations, but this is kind of where things start to fall apart for me. And unfortunately, it's Eneru and his vassals' fault. Okay, a lot of it is these two idiots. Their powers are cool, and I'm loving this first glimpse at Mantra, but something just isn't working for me. Like, if they're supposed to be lieutenants, why are they as much of a joke as Mr. 5 was? You know what's actually pretty awesome and interesting? The Shandians. Every time they show up and discuss the history of Skypiea, I'm sucked back in after the vassals take me out a bit. Not only that, but I love their designs quite a bit more than the other Skypieans. And what brings it all together is their unwavering motivation to see their dream come true, no matter the cost. Having 3 groups up on the Sky Islands was such a good idea, and one of the best parts of the saga is how well the multiple factions play off each other. Each has different motivations for wanting to get to the Golden City, making for interesting encounters when they collide. Watching all 3 sides clash in this struggle to be the last 5 remaining per Eneru's prediction was fun for a while, but as I mentioned earlier, this arc kind of falls apart for me whenever Eneru and his vassals are the focus. His buildup was fantastic for an unstoppable force. Make no mistake, I love that part. But once we actually see him, he's kinda lame. His only trait seems to be, I'm strong and always right. I know him being like that is supposed to make me want to see Luffy beat him, but I was honestly just sick of him by the time they fight. And speaking of Luffy versus Eneru, oh my god, this fight is way too long. Look, the Croc fight was also too long, and it's really just a problem with big shonen fights in general, but I have only ever really wanted a fight to just be over twice. One was this fight, and the other is the final fight of JJK, but we're not talking about that mess right now. You know how this fight should have gone? Here, I'll show you. Boom, easy. Okay. I know that that's too fast. But when Luffy fell off the ark, I literally rolled my eyes and said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" While I didn't initially like everything that happened after that, as it made the fight even longer, I do understand why it's there and really appreciate it from a story standpoint. But as part of this particular fight, I still kinda hate it because of how much I just wanted it to be over. The real savior of this saga is the world building, and by extension, Robin. I didn't think I was going to like her very much when she joined the crew because she felt like she was just along for the ride, but she was pretty much the only one helping me get another dose of that sweet, sweet world building. I loved when Chopper, Luffy, Robin, and Zoro set out into the forest, but since Chopper and Luffy quickly devolved into jokes and Zoro was just there to fight, Robin was the one who kept my attention most as she mused over the history of the ruins around her. Even though the pacing was a little wonky for me, the theme of dreams still manages to stick the landing. At first it seems that Luffy ringing the bell might diminish the dreams of the Skypeans, but I don't really see it that way. Ganford dreams of the peace he wholeheartedly believes will come if that bell rings, so it's a little weird that someone unrelated to that conflict is the one to end it. But Luffy wouldn't have been able to reach Eneru again without Skypean technology. The Waver. Wiper wanted to ring the bell so Noland could hear it sing up in heaven, so it seems a little odd that he let someone else do it instead. Someone he doesn't even really know. But the Waver wouldn't have gotten them there if he hadn't sacrificed his arm to knock down the giant jack with a rejectile. Luffy wanted to ring the bell because he wanted Cricket to know that Shandora was up in the sky. None of these dreams would have been fulfilled without the others, and that's beautiful. But it's the final dream that spoke to me the most. From the moment she joined the crew, Robin has been out of place. Mostly a listless passenger whose dream has died and is just there for the ride. But something happened that she did not expect. She was having fun on her adventure with the Straw Hats. Their lust for exploring the unknown, that desire to find a lost city of gold, rekindled an ember that had yet to go out. She thought her dream was dead, but she couldn't quite let it go. Not when there's still forgotten history to uncover. If Luffy had never rang that bell, she never would have found the poneglyph in the sky, and realized that her dream isn't dead yet. And that's the most important part of this saga. No matter how hard it might seem, no matter how many setbacks you might encounter, One Piece and the Skypiea saga is a wonderful reminder that it's okay to have your head in the clouds, following your dreams.
人の夢は終わらねえ